The gluconeogenesis pathway is some kind of a unique pathway. So it's going to regulate by various substances. So the gluconeogenesis process is not always going to happen in our body. So when our body need glucose, that time this pathway has been initiated by some of the regulator. So that case we must to know the what are the regulators is going to control the gluconeogenesis pathway. So in last class we have seen what is the gluconeogenesis, where it is going to happen, and what is the cycle. So the cycle is start with the end product, the pyruvate. Then it's starting with pyruvate. The end product is glucose. Actually, this pathway is totally reverse to the glycolysis pathway. In glycolysis, the starting material is glucose, end product is pyruvate. But in this cycle, the scenario is going to reverse. From the non-carbohydrate material, it's say intermediate, it comes to the pyruvate. So from the pyruvate, it's going back to the formation of glucose. That's a cycle. So it is totally a reversible cycle. So the non-carbohydrate materials may be the lactate, pyruvate, or amino acids, lipid product, propionate, and apart from that acetyl-CoA intermediate. So various pathway and various intermediates is going to the gluconeogenesis pathway. In glycolysis process, these are three steps: glucose to glucose 6-phosphate and fructose to fructose 1,6-phosphate. Finally, the phosphoenol pyruvate to pyruvate. These are the three steps are irreversible steps. So these are the three pathway has been overcome by intermediate process. So you can see here, this is a glycolysis and this one is gluconeogenesis process. The same thing, the same pathway. Once you have studied the glycolysis, the same reactions you can write in a reverse manner. By the only the difference is a different kind of enzymes is involved in the process. Okay, and apart from that, these are the three steps: glucose and fructose 1,6-phosphate and phosphoenol pyruvate to pyruvate. These are the three steps is going to intermediate process. I say the pyruvate, it's never going back to the phosphoenol pyruvate. From the glycolysis process, phosphoenol pyruvate, it's converted into pyruvate, means it's never going back, because in glycolysis step, because it's a single step reactions. So for gluconeogenesis, it must be come across this step. So how it's going to bypass this reaction means, we know that the pyruvate, it's converted into the lactate. Intermediately, the pyruvate is enter into the intermediate step. So for the oxaloacetate is the intermediate product, that oxaloacetate, it's converted into the phosphoenol pyruvate. Normally, the entire gluconeogenesis process is divided into three steps. First step, it's a conversion of pyruvate into phosphoenol pyruvate. This is the first step. The second one is conversion of fructose 1,6-phosphate to 6-phosphate. Then glucose 6-phosphate to glucose. Okay, these are the three steps is very, very important steps. So total summarize reactions I have written here. The pyruvate, it's converted into the glucose. That's a thing. So here you can see the pathway. From the starting material is either pyruvate or lactate. So if it is lactate, means it's converted into pyruvate. The pyruvate, it comes under the oxaloacetate. So this reaction has been, it's very tough to happen in cytoplasmic region. So the pyruvate is enter into the mitochondria, it's enter into the some unique pathway. In that pathway is going to form a intermediate product is a malate. So the malate, it's easily transferred from the mitochondrial place. So the malate is comes out from the mitochondria. Then it's once again, it's irreversible conversion happen. So it's converted into the oxaloacetate. So this oxaloacetate, it's converted into phosphoenol pyruvate, because this step is totally irreversible step. So it has been bypassed by this intermediate steps. So pyruvate, it comes into converted into the oxaloacetate. Then it's converted into the phosphoenol pyruvate. This phosphoenol pyruvate, it's once again is going to the 2-phosphoglycerate, 3-phosphoglycerate, and 1,3-biphospoglycerate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So these are the straight reaction. Second obstacle is conversion of fructose 1,6-phosphate to fructose 6-phosphate. That reaction has been catalyzed by phosphatase enzyme. Then it's finally it's converted into the glucose by the glucose 6-phosphatase enzyme is going to work out on glucose 6-phosphate. This is from the lactate to pyruvate. So if it is a non-carbohydrate material, is a glycerol. So if it is fat material means it's converted into the glycerol. So the glycerol is entered into in this pathway. It's converted into glycerol 3-phosphate and dihydroacetone phosphate. Then it's once again is going to join the same reactions. So these are the major pathway intermediate steps. For still now we are seeing the gluconeogenesis steps. What are different kind of intermediate steps and how it's going to bypass the irreversible steps. All those things we have seen. So from this pathway we know that the gluconeogenesis process is to require more amount of energy. It's going to consume the more amount of energy. So it's associated with high amount of ATP consumption. So this is energy investment is more. So how the energy has been supplied means from the fatty acid oxidation. When the fatty acid is going to oxidize, it's going to liberate more amount of energy, ATP. That ATP has been utilized for this step, gluconeogenesis process, for the supply of energy. So that's a reason for weight loss programs, those who are want to reduce the body weight or cholesterol level, fat substance means they are introduce this kind of dietary regimen. So what the thing is, you don't take the you are prescribed for the less amount of carbohydrate diets, and so automatically your body fats is undergoing the oxidation process. It's produced the more amount of glucose for the energy resource purpose. So that time your body fat is going to catabolize, it's produce the energy. So glucose has been supplied. For your normal activity, your glucose is going to supply, extra fat is going to oxidize. So that's a way they reduce the body weight. And out of this cycle, some of the basic concept is there, that is what are the things is going to regulate the gluconeogenesis pathway. That is important one, and also it's a very basics, because we know that the glucose is going to metabolize in either it is glycolysis or afterwards is going to TCA cycle and HMP stunt. That's common, but the gluconeogenesis pathway is some of the unique pathway, because the gluconeogenesis process is going to prepare the glucose material from non-carbohydrate material. So it's having some basic substrates. So what are the substrates means? First one is amino acids. Most of the amino acids except leucine and lysine, except these two, mostly it's act as a starting material. So the second one is fat product glycerol. Glycerol, if once is during hydrolysis of fat, the glycerol is going to release. So it's converted into the glycerol 3-phosphate, then it's enter into the entire gluconeogenesis process. Apart from the fats, so fatty acids, hard chain fatty acids is going to convert into the propionyl CoA. It is nothing but propionate. Okay, this propionate also is act as one of the substrates enter into the gluconeogenesis cycle. So lactate, we know that the lactate and pyruvate, it is a major substrate for gluconeogenesis process. So how is going to lactate is act as a substrate means, you can imagine. So normally the skeletal muscle is going to utilize the glucose for energy production. So it's undergo the glycolysis process. The glucose is metabolized, it's converted into the pyruvate, then it's may converted into the lactate. These things is happen in muscle. You just see this picture. So in muscle, the glucose has been utilized for energy resource. So it's converted into the pyruvate, then lactate, then alanine. No, now you no need to bother about the alanine. So you have just focus on the glucose is converted into pyruvate, then lactate. So once the lactate is formed, after that it comes into the systemic circulation. From the systemic circulation is going to the liver. So liver, what has happened? The lactate is once again, the lactate has been in liver, the lactate has been utilized for production of pyruvate. So now the lactate is converted to pyruvate. So the cycle is start. Gluconeogenesis cycle is going to start. So the pyruvate is once again is going to the glucose. So it's like a cycle for utilization of glucose productions. So it is called as Cori cycle. In the same manner, another one cycle is there. So that is nothing but Cahill cycle. That is otherwise is called as glucose alanine cycle. The same picture in muscles is going to produce the glucose utilization process is going to produce the pyruvate. that pyruvate it's undergone the transamination process, then it's converted into alanine. Then this alanine has been same thing, it comes to the blood circulation, then it's enter into the liver, it's once again is going to transamination happen in liver, it's converted into pyruvate. So the same thing cycle is going to start. So one side the muscle is going to utilize the glucose, then it's converted into the lactate and alanine. When it comes out from the blood circulation muscle, it's going to the blood circulation, it's going to the liver, then it's going to once again it's going to start the production for glucose. So it's a cycle. So these are the two cycle is very important for the gluconeogenesis process, Cori cycle and Cahill cycle. So the next we can go for the important ones, the regulation of gluconeogenesis process. Here some of the four important factors or four important points is there. These are the regulators going to control the gluconeogenesis process. What is those things means? Four important things there. First one is glucagon, the second one is glucocorticoids, hormones, third one is availability of the substrate, the fourth one is acetyl-CoA. So these are the four things is act as a important regulator for gluconeogenesis process. So first one is glucagon. So before going to see the glucagon, you know the some basic things. The glucagon also is going to synthesize from pancreas. In pancreas is going to synthesize three substances: glucagon, insulin, and somatostatin. Three substances having it's having own individual characteristic nature. Most of them we know that insulin. What is the use of insulin means? We know that it is going to control the blood sugar level. Otherwise, it's going to reduce the blood sugar level. Everyone we know that. Where it is going to synthesis means everyone we can say it's secreted from the beta pancreatic beta cell. In same pancreas, it's having a alpha cells. So that cell it's responsible for production of glucagon. So what is the role of glucagon means? It's going to increase the blood glucose level. When your body is having doesn't having sufficient glucose level means that time our body is going for compensatory mechanism, is going to release the glucagon. So the glucagon is going to increase the blood glucose level by promote the gluconeogenesis process. That's a mechanism. Nothing but glucagon is going to increase the blood glucose level by promote the gluconeogenesis process. Okay, that's a concept. So yeah, the glucagon is stimulate the gluconeogenesis by two mechanisms. One is, I can go for directly these things. This compound it's allosterically activate the phosphofructokinase. The availability of the substrate is going to increase. So the pyruvate availability is more. So the pyruvate availability is more means automatically is going to the gluconeogenesis cycle. That's the first one. The second one mechanism, it's going to inhibit the fructose 1,6 biphosphatase enzymes. That enzyme is responsible for dephosphorylation of fructose 1,6 phosphate. So from these two mechanisms, one is going to activate the phosphofructose kinase. So it's more amount of pyruvate is there. So it's going to promote the gluconeogenesis process. The second one is it's going to inhibit the dephosphorylation of fructose 1,6 phosphate. Because of that, it's easily is going to the reversible pathway. Because of this two mechanism, it's going to promote the gluconeogenesis process. So the second one is, first regulator is glucagon, the second one is glucocorticoids. So the glucocorticoids, glucagon, both the things is going to promote the glucose production. Okay, that's a basic thumb rule. So how it's going to promote the gluconeogenesis process by the glucocorticoids? It's going to the glucocorticoids is going to promote the synthesis of hepatic aminotransferase enzymes, so which provides the substrate for gluconeogenesis process. So that is the enzyme, it's responsible for production of the substrate. So more amount of substrate is there means automatically is enter the gluconeogenesis process. So this steps has been blocked by insulin. So insulin is going to inhibit the gluconeogenesis process by reducing the various activities of key enzymes. It's involved in the gluconeogenesis process. So the next one is availability of the substrate. Yeah, I said whenever, because of this two mechanism, either glucagon or steroids, glucocorticoids, the both the things is going to increase the availability of the substrate. So when the substrate is more, it's automatically is enter into the gluconeogenesis process. You can see there acetyl CoA. So during starvations, the excessive of lipolysis is going to happen. So when you are doesn't have the food that time, your adipose tissues undergone the lipolysis process. That time it's produced more amount of acetyl CoA. That acetyl CoA is going to activate the process. It's pyruvate carboxylase enzyme. So results is going to increase the glucose production. So acetyl CoA is going to increase the production, and apart from that, we know that the basic availability raw material, glycerol, pyruvate, lactate, propionate, these all those things, because of those mechanism. Which mechanism? Glucagon mediator or glucocorticoids mediated mechanisms. It's going to promote the availability of the substrate. So when substrate is more, the gluconeogenesis process is going to initiate it. Ethanol or alcohol is going to inhibit the gluconeogenesis process. Before that, we have seen these are the four regulators is going to increase the gluconeogenesis process, but this one, fifth one, it's going to inhibit the gluconeogenesis process. So alcohol, once you have taken more amount of alcohol, high consumption of alcohol means it may produce the shock-like condition, hypoglycemic shock-like condition, because alcohol is going to produce a hypoglycemia by two different mechanisms. We have already seen in HMP stunt pathway. So the alcohol is going to interfere the metabolism of glucose via which mechanism? Thymine pyrophosphate, so TPP. So it's responsible for the conversion of pyruvate into acetyl CoA responsible. So it's the alcohol is directly is going to inhibit the thymine transformase enzyme. So it's going to inhibit the glucose utilization. That's one mechanism. The second mechanism is here. So it's going to directly is going to inhibit the gluconeogenesis process. By which mechanism means we can see here. So normally if you have consumed alcohol, ethanol, it's converted into the acetaldehyde. If it is you have taken the ethanol, it's converted into the acetaldehyde. If it is methanol, it's converted into the formaldehyde. It's too toxic. But you have taken ethanol, mostly we are using ethanolic products. So ethanol means in liver it's going to metabolize, it's converted into the acetaldehyde with the help of alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme and utilize the NAD. So during the conditions, what's the thing is there, ethanol is going to convert into acetaldehyde. That time the NAD plus, it's converted into the NADH. Okay, so more amount of NAD is going to utilize and more amount of NADH is going to synthesized. So once this NADH available is there means that time it's going to react with pyruvate and oxaloacetate. It's converted into the lactate and malate. That's a scenario. So we know that these are the two things, pyruvate and oxaloacetate. These are the two things is a raw material or substrate for the gluconeogenesis process. But once you have taken alcohol, it's directly promote the more amount of NADH. It's going to convert the pyruvate into lactate and oxaloacetate into malate. So what's happened? It's going, because of lack of substrate, the gluconeogenesis process is going to hinder. So glucose production is indirectly is going to stop. So it happens due to the over consumption of NAD and the excessive production of NADH. So that's a thing. So what the thing, because of this mechanism, it's going to increase the risk of hypoglycemia, because the glucose production is going to stop by this mechanism. In parallelly, the glucose metabolism, because of TPP, thymine mediated pyrophosphate, thymine pyrophosphate mediated mechanism is going to inhibit the glucose metabolism. So totally is going to produce, overall is going to produce the hypoglycemics. That's the reasons. Maybe you have experienced, maybe you have seen, if any person taken more amount of alcohol means excess amount of alcohol, is suddenly the person is going to the shock. That time once the person is hospitalized means they can give immediately glucose solutions. because DNS they can give the DNS and vitamin thiamine they can give infusion they will give. So because it's going to replace the two mechanism, one direct supplement of glucose, the second one is TPP mediated mechanisms, glucose utilization has been increased. So that's a thing, because mostly we have said the gluconeogenesis process is started from lactate or pyruvate or propionate or glycerol I said. So what's happened exactly? Certainly the fatty acids, most of them being even chain, once it's oxidized, it's going to produce the acetyl CoA. So this acetyl CoA can't able to convert into pyruvate, because this acetyl CoA it's available is there, means it may enter into the TCA cycle, because the acetyl CoA is a starting material for TCA cycle. So the acetyl CoA is, once it's oxidized, is converted into the carbon dioxide by the TCA cycle. So therefore the fatty acids, it's never is going to act as a precursor supplier for the glucose formation. But the scenario is different. Fat, cholesterol fat is, once is going to hydrolyze, means it's going to produce the glycerol. The glycerol is undergone to produce the propionate. So it's a basic substrate raw material for the gluconeogenesis process. So that's a concept.